Hey guys, back for another Car Talks. For this Car Talks, I want to ask you a quick question. What would you do if you didn't have to do all the stupid shit that you don't like to do? Well, I personally would do about the same thing that I'm doing now. I'm one of those lucky ones that, loves my job. I love what I do. I love doing these car talks. I really, to my honest, I'm really living a good life. I really love the work that I do. I'm very fortunate in that regard. One of the reasons that I can do that is because I don't do everything myself. There's still some things that I do that I don't want to do. Obviously, you're always going to have that, but I have outsourced the huge majority of the work that I just hate to do, and also I even outsource some of the stuff that I like to do because it's not worth my time to do it myself. I've put a certain dollar amount on my time, and I've figured out there are some tasks that really aren't really doable for me. I mean, I can do them, but I could be making more money rather than doing the thing that I'm hiring somebody else to do. So let me give you an example. Personal things. So personal things, I hire somebody to do the grass. I hire a landscaper. He does the landscaping, the grass, and he takes care of some just simple house stuff outside. We have the pool guy that comes and opens and closes the pool. We have contractors that do things around the house for us. We have the groomer. A lot of service people, because I even did this when I had hardly nothing. I mean, of course I paid people to do less because I had to do it more myself, but this has kind of been a philosophy I've had for a long, long time. Regardless of how much money that you make, pay other people to do the things that you don't want to do, that are not worth your particular time to do it. So like, let's say you want to, now this is especially true whenever you have like a freelance job, you're a contractor, or you have a side gig or something like that where you can make extra money. In a salary position, you can't make extra money unless you're going to do full-time work or overtime work or something like that. But this is especially true when you have the ability to work more, if you want to work more and make money, build a business, and you're in that sort of area. So, for example, let's say that I can pay somebody, $100 to clean the house. Now, luckily I'm not single, so my wife would probably do the majority of that. But I would pay, if it would take me 3 hours to do that. Let's just say it takes 3 hours to do that, and I can pay somebody $100 to do that whole thing. What's that, like $33 an hour? All right, is $33 an hour less or more than the amount that you have put on your time? Now, for me, it's more than $33 an hour, but so that doesn't make sense for me to do that myself. Instead, I could just do some freelance writing and do some consulting, do something else that makes more than $33 an hour during that time. It doesn't make sense at all to do that myself. The same thing goes true with business ventures as well. I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and I have had a virtual assistant off and on for probably 10 years now. And you may think, well, though he has an assistant, that means I'm, you're so awesome, you're so important and everything. I've had an assistant forever, regardless of what position that I'm in life. Normally you think that, well, I can't afford a virtual assistant. Well, only assistants are for executives or for, super important people or something like that. That's not the case at all. You can get a virtual assistant, a very reliable virtual assistant that can, do paperwork for you, make calls, just about anything. As long as you can provide good enough instructions, that virtual assistant can really offload a lot of the burden that I as a business owner and really I as a full-time employee have to do. There is a number of different tasks that a virtual assistant can do. And a good virtual assistant can be anywhere from, I don't know, $10 to $15 an hour. When I first started, I got virtual assistants for $5 an hour, and it's possible to do that, but you have to do a lot more of the work to write the instructions. It seems like more that you pay a virtual assistant, the more autonomy that they have, and the more the more they can kind of get what you're doing. That increases as you work with the virtual assistant longer and longer, but generally, the less you pay, the more work you're going to have to do to write out the instructions, be extremely clear about your instructions. And at that point, I generally just try to automate whatever that task the virtual assistant is doing anyway. So I recommend, if you do want a virtual assistant, anywhere from $10 to $15 an hour, look on a site like Upwork.com is where I've got all of my virtual assistants from. And you'll come across some that are bad, some that are good. But yeah, virtual assistants are a big thing. Also, automate everything. Duh, you think I was going to say that, right? But yeah, automate everything even before you hire a virtual assistant. I'm going to write some blog posts on this, or maybe do another Car Talk specific about this. But I use a number of different services, not just PowerShell scripts, to automate a lot of my tasks. For example, I use a service called Zapier. Zapier is kind of like if this then that, if you're familiar with that, kind of on a bigger scale, a more business level, I guess you can say. They have a lot more integrations. They have an API. They have all kinds of things. And to do this Car Talk video, I have automated everything there is to know that I possibly can with this Car Talks video. This was kind of a pet project of mine. So I record it as I'm doing now in the car. That video, as soon as I get recording, it goes into Dropbox. It goes into a Dropbox folder. Zapier then has a trigger, a webhook that looks at Dropbox. And as soon as it sees a file in that Dropbox, it takes it, uploads it to YouTube with a generic template. Once it goes into there, then it creates a blog post, a draft blog post, which is just kind of a placeholder with the same title and everything like that of what the blog post is. Then it creates a task in Basecamp for the person that I have to do the transcriptions. She takes the transcriptions out from this, puts it into the blog post, puts it into pending review. Once it goes into pending review, then it kicks off me. It creates a task for me to go in there and review it, look it over, and then post the blog post. So there's lots of different things that I have automated in that regard. But really, the gist of this talk is to tell you that in any place in life that you can possibly be, you can automate everything possible and just pay other people to do things. Offload that stuff that's just not producing value, that's not really worth your time. There's plenty of people out there that want to get this, that need the money, and they're more than happy to help you out.